Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change? Tangjin and the red-clothed lady by the side were startled when they heard Xiao Yan's words. They immediately frowned. The Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change was one of the key treasures of the Burning Flame Valley. Although this kind of secret technique was useless to some people, it was an incredibly sharp weapon for those who possessed a heavenly flame in their bodies. The Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change was able to use a kind of special method to circulate the flame hidden within one's body, allowing one to unleash an extremely powerful strength for a short period of time. Every change could unleash a kind of flame. When the three changes were superimposed on each other, its might would be quite terrifying. Of course, the energy that was unleashed from this kind of flame was quite violent. If one were to forcefully unleash it when one's body was not strong enough, it would lead to an energy backlash. Hence, even the interior of the Burning Flame Valley had preserved this Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change in an extremely stringent manner. Only the core disciples were able to obtain the first change of the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change. The other two changes would depend on their contribution to the faction and their talent. If one were to really count, it was likely that one could count the number of people who practiced the complete version of the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change with one's fingers. Even the disciples of the valley would have difficulty practicing the complete version. From this, one could tell just how greatly the Burning Flame Valley valued this Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change. Xiao Yan's eyes intently stared at Tangjin. His fists also slightly tightened under his sleeves. He needed to obtain the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change. If Tangjin refused, it was likely that he would have to spend some effort. The people in the hall all felt extremely surprised by Xiao Yan's request. They did not expect him to ask for so much. Although this high-class secret technique known as the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change might be useless to some people, it possessed a great allure to others. There was an unknown number of people in the outside world who wished to obtain it. This little fellow's appetite was really quite big. Tangjin was quiet for a while before he slowly shook his head. He looked at Xiao Yan and said, "The Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change is one of the key treasures of the Burning Flame Valley. According to the rules, it cannot be gifted to outsiders. Even though I am the valley chief, I cannot go against the rules. Hence, you should choose something else." Xiao Yan's heart sank when he heard this. It seemed that he had underestimated the position of the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change in the Burning Flame Valley. Would he have to simply give up? The Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change was a secret technique that seemed almost tailor-made for Xiao Yan. He possessed many types of heavenly flames. When the three changes were unleashed at the same time, the increase in his strength would be extremely frightening. Hence, Xiao Yan really desired it at all cost. "Valley Chief, the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change is extremely important to me. Can't you make an exception?" Xiao Yan asked, refusing to give up. Tangjin's finger gently drew on the table as he said, "Does young friend Yang Xiao not plan on giving up on the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change? If Valley Chief Tang feels that this pill refinement is more important than the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change, perhaps we can give it a try." Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the red-cloaked lady at the side without leaving a trace as he softly suggested. Xiao Yan's words caused Tang Ying to become dull. He tightly knit his brows, gazed at the red-cloaked lady beside him, and mused for a long while. Only then did he slowly nod his head. He said, "This pill refinement is indeed extremely important to me. It is even more important than the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change." Tang Ying paused when he spoke until this point. His eyes immediately looked at Xiao Yan as he laughed. "Young friend Yang Xiao, the old me really admires the glib of your tongue. After you put it this way, it seems that the value of my Burning Flame Valley's Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change has diminished. I agree with your words. However, even I cannot change the rules of the Burning Flame Valley." Xiao Yan widened his mouth and could only bitterly laugh when he heard this. He really did not have any other method if these words had no effect. However, Tangjin looked at Xiao Yan. His tone had suddenly changed as he said, "If you successfully help me refine the pill this time around, I might perhaps be able to give you a chance. If you can grab it, the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change will belong to you." However, the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change is a top-secret technique of the Burning Flame Valley. Even if Father has agreed, it will be very difficult to pass through the Elders' Council. The red-cloaked lady's eyes turned red as she softly said, "I have also said that I am only giving Yang Xiao a chance. At that time, I can allow him to enjoy the treatment of the core disciples. As long as he has the ability and meets the test requirement, the Elders Council will not say anything more. After all, I am the Valley Chief. Tang Zhen smiled, waved his hand, and informed her. The red-cloaked lady could only nod her head when she heard this. She gently grit her silver teeth as she said, "It's all that person's fault. He is asking for so much, cuckoo. Although this fellow is unceremonious, he does possess some ability. He is already able to subdue a heavenly flame at such an age. One could explain it if he possessed the help of an expert. However, if he has relied on himself, that would be a little too terrifying." Tang Zhen laughed. He has purposefully hide his appearance. However, his actual age should be similar to what is on the surface. The old me has never heard of such a foreign and young Tier 7 alchemist appearing in the middle region. I think that this Yang Xiao should also be a fake name, hiding his head and showing his tail. He is most likely not a good person. The red-cloaked lady muttered. Clearly, she bore a large grudge because Xiao Yan had used the pill refinement to force Tang Zhen to make a choice. Tang Zhen shook his head. He affectionately patted the red-cloaked lady's head before turning around and walking out a side door of the large hall. "All right, stop muttering. Go and make preparations. The pill refinement will begin this afternoon. If the medicinal pill is refined, it can be considered to have removed a heavy burden in my heart. Cuckoo, I am a little curious about what ability that Yang Xiao possesses. Hopefully, he really lives up to my expectations." The appearance of Tang Zhen caused the private conversations around the square to weaken. All the disciples of the Burning Flame Valley present knew that Tang Zhen was going to join hands with two alchemist grandmaster to refine a medicinal pill. Naturally, they did not dare to randomly make any noise, fearing that they would interrupt the refinement of the medicinal pill. Tang Zhen landed. His gaze slowly swept around him. After which, he turned his head and looked to Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan. He smiled as he asked, "Are the both of you prepared?" Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan nodded when they heard his question. The medicinal pill that the old me wishes to refine this time around is called the Fire Bodhisattva pill. It is a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill. This is a portion of the medicinal formula. The two of you will get one each. All you need to do is follow the instructions on the medicinal formula during the refinement and perform your allocated task. Tang Zhen waved his hands and two scrolls flew to Xiao Yang and Grandmaster Huan respectively. The two of them hurriedly received the scroll. After which, they immediately inserted their spiritual strength into them, swiftly remembering the medicinal formula in their minds. The red-cloaked lady called Hua lowered her chin slightly. Her pretty eyes swept around and stole a glance at Xiao Yang. After which, she leaped down from the stone stage and began to organize the disciples of the Burning Flame sect, tightening the defenses of this area. After arranging everything appropriately, Tang Zhen's expression gradually turned solemn. He waved his sleeve and one could see an enormous item flying out of his storage ring. After which, it landed heavily in the middle of the stone stage. Its heavy weight caused the stone stage to tremble a little. Xiao Yang and Grandmaster Huan looked at this 10-foot large medicinal cauldron. The medicinal cauldron was fiery red in color. There were numerous drawings of volcanoes erupting on the walls of the medicinal cauldron. A wave of violent aura would pounce on one when one glanced at it. Xiao Yang had just taken a look at this fiery red medicinal cauldron when he became aware that the quality of this medicinal cauldron was likely not poorer than his 10,000 beast cauldron, mountain melting cauldron. This is something on the heavenly cauldron ranking. It is unexpectedly held in Valley Chief Tang's hands. How it leads one to feel envious. Grandmaster Huan looked at this fiery red cauldron. The envious look in his eyes was extremely dense. "I only found it through good luck back then." Tang Zhen smiled. After which, he waved his sleeves once again. One could immediately see densely packed medicinal ingredients continuously flying out of his storage ring. After which, they lingered in the air above this stone stage. From the looks of it, there were at least 100 of them. A dense medicinal fragrance spread the moment these medicinal ingredients appeared. Clearly, they were not ordinary items. The requirement many medicinal ingredients in order to refine this Fire Bodhisattva pill did indeed live up to its reputation of being a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill. Tang Zhen's expression became more and more solemn after these medicinal ingredients were summoned. He clenched his hand and a silver-colored flame surged. 9 fire dragons swam around within it, emitting a shocking dragon might. "You two, the first batch of medicinal ingredients is about to complete their refinements. I will leave the matter of merging them to the both of you." Tang Zhen's voice suddenly sounded beside their ears a short while after their spiritual strengths entered the medicinal cauldron. Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan felt their heart tense the moment they heard his voice. Their minds flipped through the first part of the medicinal formula as they prepared to act. Around 20 minutes or so later, the 9 fire dragons in the medicinal cauldron suddenly shook. Their enormous mouths were opened as cluster after cluster of substances that contained extremely dense medicinal fragrances spat out of their mouths. These substances were the essence medicinal strength that were left behind by those medicinal ingredients. Some were in starch form while others were in liquid or solid forms. At this moment, they were all suspended within the medicinal cauldron. Do it. These pure medicinal strengths that had just had their impurities removed had just appeared when Tang Zhen's solemn voice quickly followed. Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan inhaled a deep breath of air when they heard Tang Zhen's words. After which, their spiritual strength swept out. With their respective knowledge of the medicinal ingredients, they began to separate some of the medicinal liquids that belonged to the medicinal formula. After which, they used their spiritual strengths to wrap around them. Their respective flames surged out and began to slowly merge these refined medicinal strengths according to the instructions on the medicinal formula. With the sweeping spiritual strength of Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan, the medicinal ingredients suspended in the medicinal cauldron were completely swept away. The both of them were veteran alchemists with extremely great experience. Although it was the first time they cooperated, no flaws occurred. Tang Zhen sighed in relief when he saw these two people working precisely without making any mistakes. A thought immediately passed through his mind as another batch of medicinal ingredients were sucked into the medicinal cauldron. After which, he began the refinement once again. Although Tang Zhen was a giant with an extremely terrifying strength, he was quite courteous when dealing with others. He did not possess the arrogance of an elite Dozun. Perhaps it was because he had a friendly character or that he had hid himself too deeply, but Xiao Yan ultimately maintained a healthy amount of fear for him. How could an ordinary person become the leader of a faction like the Burning Flame Valley? It was the first time that Xiao Yan had attempted this kind of cooperation to refine a medicinal pill. However, there were no flaws. His pill refinement experience was not weaker than anyone present. Moreover, his task was the simple merger of the pure medicinal strengths. With his current spiritual strength, this was not considered too difficult. Moreover, by owning the glazed lotus heart flame, he did not feel threatened by the might of the 9-dragon lightning flame within the fire cauldron. The stone stage was completely silent. Only the sound of a fire burning was emitted. Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan had their eyes shut. They focused their minds and controlled their spiritual strengths in the medicinal cauldron. A jade-green glow was vaguely visible within the silver-colored flame that was sweeping all over the medicinal cauldron. The interior of this cluster of jade-green flame was occupied by Xiao Yan's spiritual strength. At this moment, many different types of medicinal ingredients that had been successfully refined were gradually merging together at an extremely slow speed under his precise control. A slight sound suddenly appeared from the quiet jade-green glow. When one's gaze shifted over, one would see a drop of colorful, viscous liquid appearing within it. A dense medicinal fragrance was seeping out of the liquid. Young friend Yang Xiao is indeed surprising. He has completed the initial merger so quickly. Tang Zhen's voice suddenly sounded beside Xiao Yan's ear. Clearly, he was extremely surprised at Xiao Yan's quick efficiency. It should be known that the external elder from the Pill Tower, Grandmaster Huan, had yet to complete the initial merger at this moment. Xiao Yan merely smiled at Tang Zhen's surprise. After which, he transmitted his voice over, Valley Chief Tang, is the second portion of the medicinal ingredient completely refined? Cuckoo, it has been waiting for a while. Tang Zhen laughed. A thought passed through his mind as the 9 fire dragons abruptly widened their mouths. Numerous medicinal ingredients that had completed their refinement were once again spat out. A portion of it was separated before entering the jade-green light where Xiao Yan's spiritual strength was located. The refinement of the fire bodhisattva pill is divided into 8 portions. This is currently only the second portion. However, with the both of you lending your hands, it is likely that the chances of success this time round will be very high. 8 portions. Xiao Yan could not help but quietly become speechless. This was indeed worthy of being a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill. Xiao Yan swiftly focused his mind after exclaiming in his heart. After which, he began to merge this second portion of pure medicinal strengths. A short while after Xiao Yan had begun merging the second portion, the Grandmaster Xian slowly opened his tightly shut eyes. His heart was quite shaken when he glanced at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's performance had really exceeded his expectations. This young man called Yang Xiao is likely also a Tier 7 alchemist. Such talent is really outstanding and brilliant. Grandmaster Huan gently sighed in his heart. His spiritual strength swept over the interior of the medicinal cauldron. He sucked the second batch of refined medicinal ingredients essences over and once again began the merger. The tediousness of this fire bodhisattva pill refinement had somewhat exceeded Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan's expectations. From the looks of it, this pill refinement was definitely a time-consuming task. It was likely that they would not be able to successfully refine this medicinal pill if they did not have 10 days' time. If I have guessed correctly, this Yang Xiao should also be a Tier 7 alchemist. An alchemist from the platform suddenly sighed as he spoke. Everyone was stunned when they heard these words. They immediately let out bitter laughs. This matter was something that was a little difficult for them to accept. They had only obtained this achievement through many years of bitter training, yet a young man, who appeared to be in his 20s, had surpassed them. Grandmaster Mo's eyes were startled as he looked at the stone stage. His face contained a defeated expression. At that instant, he appeared to have become a little older. Tang Hua stood prettily at the side of the square. Her tall figure was exceptionally alluring. Her eyes were also similarly focused on the stone stage. Both of her hands were tightly clenched. The pill refinement had entered the intermediate stage. She hoped that nothing untoward would happen. Time swiftly flowed by amid everyone's expectations. Another day passed in the blink of an eye. The 8 portions of pill refinement had reached the final step. At this moment, the medicinal ingredients that had been suspended in the air above the stone stage were completely poured into the medicinal cauldron. Powerful fire affinity energy filled the surroundings, causing the air to feel a little distorted. The silver-colored flame within the medicinal cauldron had become much fiercer. A dragon roar was repeatedly being emitted from within. After which, it rose in a vast and mighty manner while spreading over the entire valley. The expressions of Xiao Yan's 3-man group were exceptionally serious at this moment. If they were unable to pass this barrier, this current pill refinement attempt would completely fail. Xiao Yan let out a deep breath. He exchanged glances with Grandmaster Huan on the opposite side. The both of them immediately shut their eyes as majestic spiritual strength surged out and entered the medicinal cauldron. The solemn expression on Tang Zhen's face became more apparent as he sensed the actions of these two. The success or failure of this pill refinement would depend on Xiao Yang's and Grandmaster Huan's subsequent performance. Xiao Yang's spiritual strength charged into the jade-green light circle in a turbulent manner. A thought passed through his mind, and 2 drops of colorful liquid immediately descended before beginning to slowly merge. A ripple was formed on the surface following the contact of these 2 droplets of medicinal liquid. This was a kind of resistance that was created before these 2 types of medicinal strength were merged. Xiao Yang needed to use it to find the equilibrium point between the 2. Only then would he be able to merge them perfectly together. This kind of merger required extreme precision of one's spiritual strength. If any mistake were to occur along the way, it would lead to the failure of the merger. Xiao Yang's spiritual strength transformed into a countless number of tiny lines that spread over every inch of the 2 droplets of medicinal liquid. Any slight changes within would be immediately noticed by Xiao Yan. The first step of the merger was extremely troublesome. However, it was fortunate that Xiao Yan was extremely experienced. Additionally, he had a great amount of spiritual strength. These 2 types of medicinal liquids were at a stalemate for around an hour while his spiritual strength maintained a stable pressure. Only after that period of time did the merger really begin. Although this was extremely slow, it was only a matter of time before completion. Time swiftly flowed by during the quiet refinement. Around 3 hours or so later, 2 droplets of colorful liquid were finally merged together. They transformed into a brilliant-colored, viscous liquid that was gently suspended within the jade-green light circle. Xiao Yang sighed in relief when he saw that the merger had succeeded. A thought passed through his mind, and a black-colored powder-like substance flew down. It slowly fell into the brilliant-colored, viscous liquid. The merger of the medicinal ingredients essence was an extremely time-consuming step. One must not feel the least bit of anxiety during this period of time. Otherwise, a slight error would result in the failure of the merger. Moreover, it would cause the precious medicinal ingredient to turn into waste. However, it was fortunate that everything was proceeding very smoothly on Xiao Yang's side, and he was exceptionally careful because the failure or success of this pill refinement would determine whether or not he would be able to obtain the Skyfire 3 mysterious flame. Following the flow of time, the 8 tiny lights within the jade-green light circle were slowly merged under Xiao Yang's control. Tang Zhen focused his eyes on the medicinal cauldron on the stone stage. Every single action within it was swiftly captured in his mind. Although Tang Zhen was worried, there was nothing that he could do at this moment. He could not substitute him midway through. Hence, all he could do was pray that Grandmaster Huan would be able to endure until the end. Due to some of the changes on the stone stage, the people present were all clearly aware that Tang Zhen had already completed his role. Now, it was up to Yang Xiao and Grandmaster Huan. If they were able to successfully merge their respective portions of medicinal strengths, the pill refinement this time around would likely succeed. However, if anything happened to either one of them, it was likely that this pill refinement would end in failure. I wonder if that Yang Xiao is able to endure until the end. These 9 days have likely exhausted a great amount of his spiritual strength. An alchemist grandmaster fondled his beard as he slowly wondered aloud, they have already lasted until this stage. It would really be too regretful if any mistake occurs. Another alchemist grandmaster opened his mouth and replied. Those around him nodded with the same thought. Yang Xiao does not show any signs of becoming weary. Instead, Huan Feng. His spiritual strength is clearly beginning to weaken. An old man, standing right at the front, suddenly sighed as he added his thoughts. The surrounding immediately became silent when everyone heard his words. There was some dullness on everyone's faces. By putting it in this manner, did that not mean that this Yang Xiao was even better than Grandmaster Huan? No one knew just what to say the instant this ridiculous thought flashed through their hearts, because this old man was the other external elder from the Pill Tower. His eyesight was far greater than all of theirs. Hence, none of them dared to open their mouths and question him. However, they still quietly muttered in their hearts. Clearly, they did not quite believe him. The old man was too lazy to bother with the mentality of these people. His eyes looked at the stone stage and a slight expression of worry was present in his eyes. Based on his senses, Huan Feng's spiritual strength was indeed weakening. Things would be quite bad if this went on. Hopefully he will be able to endure. Refining a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill is indeed a little too straining for Huan Feng. Time swiftly flowed by during this merger. The medicinal strength merger of Xiao Yan and Grandmaster Huan gradually reached the end. Under the countless number of eyes, the natural energy on the tall stage gradually became wild and violent. In the face of this violence, an unusually dense medicinal fragrance quietly spread out, causing the attention of anyone sniffing it to focus. Tang Zhen and everyone became more awake as they sensed the change on the tall stage. Was the merger by these two people about to be completed? The two droplets of liquid that had been formed from the medicinal strength of nearly 100 types of medicinal ingredients emitted a deep sound the instant they collided. Immediately, a circular and unusually powerful energy ripple erupted from them. The ripple collided with the medicinal cauldron's walls, emitting a clear, bang-bang sound. Due to the spiritual strength being mixed with the medicinal liquid, Xiao Yang emitted a moan during this collision. His body also slightly shook. Grug. Xiao Yan was able to endure this energy shock, but Grandmaster Huan, who was currently at his limits, appeared just like the last straw that caused a camel to collapse. His face immediately turned pale white as a mouthful of fresh blood was wildly spat out. The entire place immediately turned silent as everyone looked at Grandmaster Huan, who suddenly spat out blood and collapsed. The smile that had just appeared on Tang Zhen's and Tang Hua's faces slowly stiffened. Everyone knew just what kind of consequences would occur if something were to happen to the alchemist at this moment. Is it still going to fail? Tang Zhen muttered to himself. His face appeared to have become much older in an instant. Outside the square, Tang Hua's face had also turned snow white. A sorrow vaguely materialized in her pretty eyes. Did this mean that fate had decreed the end of her life? Xiao Yan was stunned as he stared at Grandmaster Huan, who had collapsed. He swiftly recovered an instant later. His gaze suddenly turned to the medicinal cauldron. If this pill refinement ended up failing, he could forget about the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. Could all his effort really come to naught at this final moment? An unwillingness and a ruthless expression immediately surged into his eyes when he thought of this. At the edge of the square, Tang Hua's pretty face had also turned white. A moment later, she let out a grieving smile. Her lovely body staggered a little. The few disciples from the burning flame valley behind her hurriedly stepped forward to support her. The entire square was completely silent. That solemn atmosphere caused everyone to feel extremely pressured. No one dared to open their mouths to speak at this moment. The silent and pressurizing atmosphere continued for a while before a low, deep voice suddenly sounded, breaking the pressurizing silence of the square as it did. Valley Chief Tang, may I continue the refinement? Even though Tang Zhen was in a dispirited state, he involuntarily raised his head in shock when he heard these words. He looked at Xiao Yan's serious face before slightly widening his mouth. Some hope had suddenly surged from the despair in his heart. Young friend Xiao Yan, you able to refine this fire bodhisattva pill alone? Xiao Yan slowly shook his head. They really thought too highly of him. Even with his current self, there was likely an extremely low chance of success when refining a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill. Nevertheless, it was at least better than simply sitting and doing nothing. If we continue the refinement, there is perhaps still a chance. However, if we give up now, we will have completely failed. Xiao Yan's eyes bore down on Tang Shen. His eyes possessed the vigor of a young person. His experience during these years had created Xiao Yan's tough character. He had seldom mentioned the words, give up. If he had given up midway through these 20-plus years of training, it was likely that he would be unable to escape from being the trash of the Xiao clan, much less reach the stage he was currently at. Tang Shen's heart was slightly shaken when he sensed Xiao Yan's searing, hot eyes. His gaze turned to the green-red glow that was being emitted from the medicinal cauldron. After a brief moment of hesitation, he finally clenched his teeth and spoke in a deep voice, young friend Yang Xiao, since you have put it this way, please proceed. No one will blame you even if it ends up failing. Xiao Yan was quiet for a moment before he discovered that the medicinal strength within the 2 droplets of medicinal liquid did not show any retardation. Instead, they became even more intense. The gap between them was also slowly growing. If this continues, forget about fusion, even getting them to make contact would be an exceptionally difficult task. This troublesome matter was something that Xiao Yan was meeting for the first time during all these years of medicinal pill refinement. It was not this troublesome even when he was refining a pill back then at the Inner Academy. Of course, that was because Xiao Yan had entered a mysterious condition at that time. Currently, he did not possess such good luck. Thus, he could only rely on his own abilities. Continuing in this manner is also not a solution. Xiao Yan let out a deep breath as he sensed the intense resistance being transmitted from his spiritual strength, which was wrapped around the 2 droplets of liquid. A thought passed through his mind, and one could sense the spiritual strength that permeated the interior of the medicinal cauldron surge out. Finally, it crazily suppressed the 2 droplets of liquid. Bang! A deep, solemn noise sounded within the medicinal cauldron. Under the full strength of Xiao Yan's spiritual suppression, the 2 green-red droplets that had just parted were ruthlessly pressed together. However, they did not become calm as a result. Instead, an even fiercer retaliation erupted an instant later. Following the spiritual strength transformation into a fast-rotating spiral, the pressure from it suddenly soared. The green and red liquids slowly made contact amid this fierce pressure. After which, they were forcefully kneaded together. A thought passed through Xiao Yan's mind the moment these 2 droplets of liquid were kneaded together. The soaring pressure was immediately reduced. At the same time, a jade-green flame appeared from nowhere, swallowing the green-red liquid. The increase and reduction of the pressure as well as the release of the flame were perfectly controlled by Xiao Yan. If any mistake were to occur during this period of time, it would result in the loss of some medicinal strength, and it would end up reducing the chances of successfully refining the pill. Although Xiao Yan had kneaded the 2 droplets of liquid together, it had also exhausted Xiao Yan's spiritual strength. However, he was currently not considering all this. His spiritual strength was continuously inserted into the green-red liquid. After which, he captured all of the slight changes within it. From this, he began to carefully control the pressure and the flame's temperature. There was complete silence outside of the stone stage. Tang Shen looked at Xiao Yan's trembling body. His heart was raised to his throat as a result, especially when he saw Xiao Yan's expression gradually turn pale. Even with Tang Shen's calmness, he could not help but feel his heartbeat increased. However, it was fortunate that the trembling of Xiao Yan's body did not continue for long before it gradually calmed. At this time, Tang Shen sensed a jade-green flame suddenly appear within the medicinal cauldron. His eyes looked over, and he saw the green-red liquid slowly churning within the flames. There was even the vague signs of a liquid solidifying. This scene was not unfamiliar to Tang Shen. He knew that this was the precursor to the formation of a pill. His heartbeat suddenly quickened. An excited expression also involuntarily surfaced on his face. He had never expected Xiao Yan to rely on his own abilities to complete the final step. The silence within the square continued for an entire day and night. During this period of time, the place was dead quiet. Not even the slightest sound appeared. However, no one left during this period of time. Everyone's eyes were focused on the stone stage. Everyone really wanted to know whether this extremely young man would be able to complete this final step or not. A ray of morning light suddenly scattered from the sky and broke the dark night in the mountain valley. The natural energy within the enormous burning flame valley suddenly began to fluctuate the instant this ray of morning light appeared. Tangjun, who was seated cross-legged on the stone stage, suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze revealed a wild joy as he looked at the center of the stone stage. A pale fragrance suddenly scattered from the medicinal cauldron. Rumble. Dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky without any forewarning the moment Tangjun opened his eyes. Lightning rolled within the dark clouds. Silver snakes flowed all over, producing a shocking and mighty sound as they moved. Thick, dark clouds gathered in the sky above the valley. The ray of morning light, that had just appeared on the horizon, was blocked by the clouds. Within an instant, the entire valley had become exceptionally dark. Only when the silver-colored lightning cut through the dark clouds would the valley below light up. The medicinal fragrance on the stage had reached a peak saturation when dark clouds gathered in the sky. Even the surrounding natural energy of the stone stage was drawn by this pill fragrance, emitting a slight vibration as it did so. A jade-green flame fiercely burned within the medicinal cauldron. A green-red spherical medicinal pill was slowly rotating in the air above the flame. A shocking energy was repeatedly being emitted from it. The energy collided with the walls of the medicinal cauldron, emitting a clanging metallic sound. Xiao Yan looked at the medicinal pill that was rotating within the medicinal cauldron. A smile involuntarily surfaced on his pale white face. His eyelids were slowly shut and a fatigue spread from his soul, causing him to feel a little giddy. The pill formation this time around had really exhausted him a little too much. If his will has not supports him from within his heart, it was likely that he would have found it difficult to succeed. The thunderbolt that cut through the dark clouds within the sky lit up Xiao Yan's pale face. He appeared exceptionally frail. Everyone knew that he had used up all of his strength once they saw his condition. Young friend Yang Xiao, mere thanks does not do a great favor justice. Leave the pill lightning to the old me. You can rest for a while. Tangjun woke up from his excited state. He hurriedly spoke with his hands cupped together when he saw the frail condition of Xiao Yan. Tangjun was just about to fight with this so-called pill lightning after speaking these words when he suddenly heard Xiao Yan panting, "Valley Chief Tang, leave the matter of the pill lightning to me." Tangjun was startled when he heard this. He hurriedly said, "Young friend Yang Xiao. Rest assured that this pill lightning won't be able to harm the old me. How can you still receive this pill lightning in your current condition? Of course I am aware that you can receive the pill lightning. However, my earth demon puppet still requires the pill lightning to refine its body." Xiao Yan rolled his eyes and muttered in his heart. He immediately waved his hand and the bright silver earth demon puppet appeared with a flash. He glanced at Tangjun and softly laughed, "Valley Chief Tang, this pill lightning is useful to me. Please do not snatch it away from me." After the refinement by the pill lightning last time, the strength of the earth demon puppet had undoubtedly risen. If it were to undergo another refinement, it was likely that the might of the earth demon puppet would increase again. This thing was a top-notch fighter for Xiao Yang. It would naturally be best if its strength could increase. Tangjun was startled when he saw the earth demon puppet that appeared. A surprise immediately flashed through his eyes as he exclaimed, "Puppet?" The surprise in Tangjun's eyes involuntarily increased in intensity when he saw that the earth demon puppet was able to remain suspended in the air like an elite dozone. His heart let out a praise. He discovered that he appeared to be unable to see through this extremely young man. Not only did this person possess a heavenly flame, but he also possessed such a great achievement in terms of pill refinement. Now, he had even took out a puppet that was comparable to an elite dozone. All of this caused Xiao Yang's identity to become much more mysterious. All of the changes on the stone stage were captured by the eyes of those present, especially the case when they saw Xiao Yang summon a silver-colored human figure that flew into the sky. All of them were stunned. Due to a puppet not possessing any breath, some of those with sharper senses could tell what it was after probing it. It is actually a puppet? Does Yang Xiao intend to use this puppet to block the pill lightning? The pill lightning formed by a high-grade Tier 7 medicinal pill is not child's play. Even 5-star and above expert dozones will barely be able to block it. Can that puppet receive it? Everyone present felt really uncertain about Xiao Yang's. Due to his earlier shocking performance, however, everyone learned to be a little better behaved. They did not dare to randomly ridicule him because everyone knew that this young man, who appeared much younger than all of them, possessed an achievement far from what they could compare with. I wonder if the Earth Demon puppet will advance in grade after absorbing this pill lightning, Xiao Yang muttered to himself. The Earth Demon puppet was divided into 3 grades: the Man, Earth, and Sky grade. When the puppet was initially refined, it was mixed between the lowest Man grade and Earth grade. However, after being refined by the Pill Lightning once, it had leaped into the Earth grade. Just a mere Earth grade Earth Demon puppet was able to fight a 5 to 6 star Do zone. If it was the highest grade Sky Demon puppet, it was likely that it would possess the ability to fight even in the face of an elite Do zone. After a silver bolt of lightning was easily received by the Earth Demon puppet, the dark clouds in the sky began to intensely churn. An instant later, another 3 lightning bolts, even stronger than the first one, rushed down from the dark clouds. The rumbling sound of explosions followed. Boom! 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 Faced with these 3 silver bolts, the Earth Demon puppet did not hesitate even a little under Xiao Yan's control. It appeared just like a lightning rod, attracting the 3 silver bolts of lightning to its body. The Earth Demon puppet fell under the fierce strike of the 3 silver lightning. It smashed into the ground. Both of its feet were inserted deep into the hard rock ground. However, it rose after the silver lightning scattered. Its entire body was emitting a dazzling silver glow as it floated into the air, appearing just like a majestic war god that would never fall. The Pill Lightning appeared to have become angered in the face of this provocation by the Earth Demon puppet. It repeatedly spat out enormous bolts of lightning from the dark clouds. After which, it appeared like a machine gun as they were beckoned to the Earth Demon puppet body with a crackling sound. This spectacular scene caused those viewing it to feel their breathing turn sluggish. Xiao Yan's eyes looked at the Earth Demon puppet that was smashed down again and again by the Pill Lightning in the sky before it would rise again. A smile filled with anticipation involuntarily surfaced on his face. He wondered just how much stronger the Earth Demon puppet would become after being refined by the Pill Lightning this time around. Xiao Yan's heart was filled with anticipation when he thought of this. The Earth Demon puppet was unable to use Do skills. However, it possessed an extremely terrifying physical body. This physical body would not only not be destroyed under the smashing Pill Lightning but would actually end up absorbing the lightning strength within it, strengthening its body that did not feel any pain. The Pill Lightning that is created by a high-grade Tier 7 medicinal pill is indeed extremely strong. Even with the strength of the Earth Demon puppet, one would be barely able to block it. However, it is fortunate that the Earth Demon puppet is able to absorb the strength of the lightning bolt and allow it to gradually get used to the Pill Lightning. Otherwise, even if it did not feel any pain, it would still be unable to endure after being struck by so many silver bolts of lightning. Xiao Yan glanced at the ferocious, thick layer of dark clouds that did not disappear for a long time. He then involuntarily shook his head and softly muttered to himself, "However, it will be soon." The speed at which the Pill Lightning is descending is clearly inferior to its earlier peak. What a strange puppet. It is likely that this puppet's fighting strength alone would not be inferior to that of a 7-star Do zone. Moreover, from the looks of it, this puppet can still absorb lightning power to strengthen itself. If this continues and it ends up experiencing a couple more Pill Lightning, it is likely that even an elite Do zone will not be able to do anything to it. The thick, dark clouds in the sky gradually ceased churning after emitting this strong silver bolt of lightning. After which, it swiftly thinned. Numerous light rays penetrated through the dark clouds, transforming into a countless number of light spots that landed on the burning flame valley, which had just experienced the destruction of Pill Lightning. The sunlight scattered down and swiftly expelled the darkness within the valley. The shocking lightning's might from earlier swiftly disappeared as a result. Everyone present sighed in relief upon seeing the Pill Lightning disappear. Immediately, numerous gazes were thrown to that enormous deep pit in Union. They faced each other. Did it fail at the last moment after having endured so many thunderbolts? Young friend Yang Xiao, you all right? Tang Zhen was also shocked at the last Pill Lightning that had erupted. He looked at the deep pit below before turning to Xiao Yan and hurriedly asking. Xiao Yan's expression was as white as a sheet. He waved his hand, but his laughter appeared to be without strength. Valley Chief Tang, rest assured, Xiao Yan's hand seals changed after speaking. Immediately, a deep sound appeared from the deep pit. A silver-colored human figure rose before steadily landing on the stone stage. Xiao Yan's eyes swiftly landed on the Earth Demon puppet in front of him. After this Pill Lightning refinement, the bright silver color on its body appeared exceptionally pure. It was as though the puppet was made of pure silver, making it extremely eye-catching. Xiao Yan's hand rubbed the Earth Demon puppet. The icicle metallic-like feeling meant its skin was hard. However, the thing that caused Xiao Yan to be somewhat disappointed was that seemed to be unable to find a golden color on the body of the Earth Demon puppet. The demon puppet was separated into 3 grades: Sky, Earth, and Man. It could be differentiated through the color on its surface. The man grade was bronze in color, earth grade was silver in color, and sky grade was gold in color. Currently, the demon puppet was bright silver in color. Clearly, it was still at the earth grade. When it turned into a golden color, it would finally be truly called the sky demon puppet and not the earth demon puppet. Golden color? Although this thread of golden color had an extremely weak luster, it was exceptionally obvious in the empty eyes of the earth demon puppet. Hence, it did not escape Xiao Yan's notice. Xiao Yan's heart was somewhat excited as his eyes stared intently at the thread of dark golden luster. This golden color was extremely faint. Nevertheless, it caused him to identify the advancement method of the earth demon puppet. This method was using the lightning strength within pill lightning to refine the demon puppet's body, strengthening it and allowing it to achieve the final quality change. Looks like I need to think of a way to allow the demon puppet to absorb pill lightning in the future. If it can absorb it and advance into the sky stage, it will be a great help to me. After all, this is a true trump card. Moreover, the matter of betrayal will never happen. Xiao Yan suppressed the excitement in his heart and softly muttered within it. Xiao Yan extended his hand after making up his mind. He returned the earth demon puppet in front of him into his storage ring. After which, his gaze turned to the interior of the medicinal cauldron. There was a green-red, round medicinal pill that was rotating there. The rich pill fragrance it radiated caused one to feel relaxed and happy. Is this the fire bodhisattva pill? Xiao Yan involuntarily smiled as his eyes paused on the green-red medicinal pill within the medicinal cauldron. He flicked his finger and the cauldron cover automatically flew open. Immediately, a green-red glow rushed out of it in a lightning-like manner. It did not pause as it flew into the sky, looking as though it was attempting to flee. Valley Chief Tang, I will leave it to you. Xiao Yan smiled as he observed the medicinal pill that was attempting to flee. A medicinal pill at this tier had already formed some spirituality. It knew how to avoid danger. Hence, it fled by itself the moment it left the medicinal cauldron. Tang Zhen laughed out loud when he heard Xiao Yan's words. He immediately nodded and grabbed with his palm toward the sky. The space in the fleeing direction of the fire bodhisattva pill solidified. The pill collided with it and rebounded. Tang Zhen waved his sleeves and a suction force surged out. He easily swept the fire bodhisattva pill back before he swiftly took out a top-quality jade bottle. After which, he stuffed this green-red pill, that was still attempting to flee, into the bottle. Tang Zhen sighed in relief as he held the jade bottle in his hand, appearing as though he had released a heavy burden. His expression was solemn as he turned to Xiao Yan, cupped his hands together, and said in a deep voice, "Young friend Yang Xiao, thank you very much. The old me will remember this favor. I was also doing as tasked." Xiao Yang shook his head. An unusually fierce tiredness and frailness suddenly swept out from deep within his soul. Immediately, the area in front of him slowly turned black, causing him to fall from the stone chair head first without any ability to resist it. A high-grade Tier 7 medicinal pill is indeed not something so easy to refine. A mutter that carried a bitter laugh sounded within Xiao Yan's heart just before he fell unconscious. By the time Xiao Yan woke up from his unconscious state, he was surprised to find himself lying on a soft bed. The entire room had a serene fragrance drifting within it. Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. A dullness remained within them for a moment before a life force gradually surged into his dark black eyes. Xiao Yan lay on the bed for a moment as he roughly glanced at the interior of his body. He did not find anything wrong with it. His originally exhausted spiritual strength from having refined the fire bodhisattva pill had also significantly recovered. That kind of weak and weary feeling had also long since disappeared. This is. Xiao Yan quietly sighed in relief within his heart when he sensed these changes. He immediately sat up on the bed and glanced at the empty room with some uncertainty. After which, he rubbed the storage ring on his finger as a reflexive action. Only after he found that he did not lose anything did he let out a heavy sigh of relief. You have already been unconscious for 5 days. A familiar voice suddenly sounded within Xiao Yan's heart while he was sighing. It was actually Tian Huazunja whom Xiao Yan had not heard from for a long time. Xiao Yan's eyes glanced at the white-colored ring on his finger and involuntarily laughed in his heart. Old Mr. Yao, it has been a while. Your condition seems to be good. I can be considered all right. By borrowing your blessing in the heavenly mountain blood pool, my spirit was also nourished by it and gained some benefits. After which, I did not reveal myself due to there being Dozan experts appearing around you all the time. Tian Huazunja's voice quickly sounded within Xiao Yan's heart. Part 1 end here.